Hey guys, it's me, Cassan, and today we'll be talking about ways to open up your opponent. I received a notification, a personal message from somebody a couple of days ago, and he was wondering how to open up people with Heihachi, and I will read his question to you. So Lama Sharot asks, I'm an intermediate Heihachi player. I have a lot of trouble opening people up. For example, I'm applying my offense right in their face with jabs and down forward 1, even throwing in some forward 4 in there. How do I get them to break and start getting hit? They usually just block until I try to load them, which they will punish heavily. So, let's see. So first off, whatever you do in Tekken, this applies to everybody, you do it with intent. So don't just stand there and press buttons without having a game plan. And I will go over various ways to pressure people with all characters, but in this particular case study with Heihachi, and I hope everybody will learn something. First off, this is matchup specific. How do you deal with Heihachi? How do you play against him? Usually, you backdash away from him, and when you're at the wall, you sidestep out of the wall, and that's your game plan. Why do you backdash and not step a lot? Because he has a lot of really great homing moves, and a lot of his good moves track a lot, especially his forward 2, since it's a forward input and you can learn that. This applies to a lot of forward moves. It tracks because it has a forward input, so if you delay the second forward, your character realigns with your stepping opponent, so it's much harder to step forward moves if they're done rather slowly. So you don't want to step him all too much because of the homing moves and the tracking on most of his moves, and simply ducking is not an option either because he has power highs and power lows, but he also has power mids, so randomly ducking it against Heihachi would kill you. So what most people do is they backdash away from you until they're at the wall, where you are strongest since you have a 10 frame hit confirmable wall split and a 13 frame mid wall split. And of course a 12 frame punish as well. And an electric that wall splits. I'm not sure about this move, but this wall splits too, yeah. So, this is the basic. People will backdash you against Heihachi. And you write that it's really hard for you because people are really turtling against you. And I can understand why, because not turtling against Heihachi is stupid. So what else can you do aside from backdashing and stepping at the wall? You can do one of two things. Either you have a hard read and you can jab him out of his pressure because it's at minus frames, or you think he will do something slow, or you step him if you know that he won't do anything that tracks or is homing. And this is the basics of our course here. I have recorded a simple move here. Okay, now we're back on track. But now you can see the frames. So this move here is -2. What does -2 mean? -2 means a couple of things. It means technically we're at a disadvantage. But what can your opponent do? If he does a down forward 1, you can just do a jab and hit him out of it, especially at the wall. If you do it like this here, this is no good. I'm just gonna show you what will happen. He gets wall split. So okay, -2. Your opponent can't do anything. No 13 frame mid, so he has to jab. And let's see what happens if your opponent gets sick of your shit and starts jabbing. You have a launch. Heihachi has a punch parry, which can launch your opponent, and he has a mix-up from it. You can do stuff like this too. But what else can he do? You don't have to be so fancy-pantsy. You can do stuff like sidestepping. Not bad. So if your opponent presses a button, you can launch him for it, or you can step him, or you can do a jab and you will lose, okay? You can also duck him, but ducking isn't so good with Heihachi since he has... No, I'm sorry. Yes. Ducking with Heihachi isn't so good since his crouching punishment is bad. So your two best options after forcing your opponent to jab is to step and to parry. And if he does anything other than a jab, you just jab or 1-1 and take back your turn and start confusing him even more. And if you aren't sure if he just wants to block or if he will jab, use this low. I know it's risky, but it covers two options. If he doesn't press shit, smack, you deal damage, he's frustrated, you're in plus frames. If he presses jabs, this is a high crush as far as I know. I'm just gonna check it before I talk a lot of shit. But I'm pretty sure this is a high crushing move. Yes. So with this move you cover two options. Option number one is he jabs, option number two is he doesn't jab. The options you don't cover is the less likable options, like he will go full YOLO and pop kick, or he will randomly duck against you, but who the fuck randomly ducks against Heihachi? I will show you one reason why you don't randomly duck against him, especially at the wall. Crouch guard, okay. So, you know this fancy move here, forward 4. If this hits a crouching opponent, you get a guaranteed down forward 1 too. If you're not stupid like I am. Yeah, like this. So, of course there will be the chance that your opponent will duck you. But he will only duck you if he is 1, really stupid and really likes to duck in general. But, and this is more important, number 2, you have abused lows way too much, so it's profitable for him to duck. As long as you keep your lows to a minimum, and by minimum I mean once or twice per round, nothing more than that, your opponent will not randomly duck against you. It's not profitable for him. So use this. Another thing, and you will know this since you're intermediate Heihachi, but a lot of people don't know, this here is +5 and you'll recover crouching. And once you're in crouch with Heihachi, you have access to this low here, which guarantees a forward 2 on the ground, and if your opponent, like here, wants to press buttons, he gets launched for it. So this is a great move to build pressure and to get into another mix-up. So, because I just saw this move, if your opponent is always backdashing and doing nothing fancy, you can also try to abuse this move here. This move here guarantees also a forward 2, as you can see. And the only way to beat this is to duck it or to step it, but if your opponent is only backdashing, go for it. There's a mid mix-up as well. Just another note here. But let's get back to building frame traps. Any move that is between 0 to -2, you can do the shit I just showed you here. You know what I mean? The real fancy shit. Anything above that is a bit riskier, but you have a lot of moves with Heihachi that are -3. Oh, let's go to guard up. While standing 4, for example, is -3. Forward 3 is -3, and a lot of other moves. So at -3, nothing really changes. The only thing that will happen at -3 differently is that down forward 1s will become a bit less shitty as a response mechanism. Yes, wait a second. So, like this. Oh, yeah. The genius I am. Like this, okay. Jabs will still beat out your jabs, and down forward 1s will at least trade. So, at -3, down forward 1s become a bit more usable, but it's still nothing your opponent really wants to keep doing. So most opponents will still prefer to jab, and you can do the same thing I just showed you by either parrying their jabs or down forward 1s, or stepping them, or interrupting them if they do anything slower than that. So, why? I mean, how do you actually apply this? I mean, this won't work like I showed you. You do it once and your opponent instantly gets pissed. You do it by frustrating them. I will just do a typical Heihachi thing here. Oh god, oh god, oh. Your opponent is just standing there. You're at the wall, you won. From here on out, you're the guy. You just apply frame traps, toss in the occasional electric for tracking and for style, and your opponent is pretty much fucked. But until then, you either win by pushing him to the wall, or you deal by simply pissing him off. I mean, just think the human psyche here. Nobody likes to play the game and all you see is this here. Because you're not playing the game, so people will try to step you. People will try to interrupt you. People will try to YOLO hop kick. And these are mistakes you provoke by pissing him off, by always being on your turn. I know it's not hard, this is something that's really hard to do. I'm not really that great altogether, but you have to understand the potential of pissing off your opponent. And this is something people really need to abuse. It's not shameful. It's your game plan. You want him to get angry. You want him to retaliate. You want to construct stuff like this. If you do stuff like while standing 4 into jab often enough, your opponent will eventually get sick of it and jab or duck randomly, and then you sidestep electric, you parry, you piss him off. There will come your time. If all of this never works because your opponent is really just holding back until you do a mistake, you have to take risks. I'm sorry, I know it's frustrating and you're scared of it, but you have to take risks. Either by doing more highs and throws, or by using lows. So you have two basic opportunities to open up your opponent. Either the quick way by taking risks, or the slow one by conditioning him, pissing him off, pushing him to the wall until he has no more drive to play and he gets angry. And then you come with the parries, with the side steps, with the interrupts. I hope this helped you a bit. If you need more, just write me, and I hope everybody learned something from this. I will be making more guides in the next couple of weeks. So until then, see you next time. Bye!